My heart was pounding so hard that I had to sit up in my bed, and I looked at the clock, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I knew that there was really not anything that I could do about it at that time.
Hello? Oh, John, I'm so glad you called. Is everything all right?
The next morning, Joe called Rhonda as soon as he returned home.
She had not been expecting me until later that afternoon. And she asked me what I was doing back so early. I told her that we had had an incident with a bear and decided to leave, come back home early.
Joe says at around 4 o'clock that morning, he awoke when he sensed a disturbance outside of his tent. He was certain of the time because he checked his watch.
Shoot! Go away! Shoot! Go away! Go on, get out of here! Shoot!
She'd had the dream about 3 o'clock, since I actually saw the bear after the bear had gotten into camp and torn things up. It must have been about the time that the bear had come into camp the first time. It occurred to me, you know, possibly it was just a coincidence, but actually thinking back on it, the fact that she had the dream while the situation was occurring, and the way she described it was very similar to the way it actually occurred. I felt like it was been a very unusual coincidence.
About a year later, Joe and Rhonda were married, and Joe received another surprise. His new stepdaughter, Roxanne, also claimed to have psychic dreams. Researchers believe the ability can be passed from generation to generation.
We do have cases where families have psychic dreams very often. The mother may have it. In one family we know the mother dreamed psychic dreams, the son did, and all of the first cousins. And they were even raised in different environments because each of the members had been adopted when the family split up.
It's hard to know whether there's a hereditary factor or not. Clearly, some families have 2 or 3 people in the family who not only have psychic dreams, but have the same psychic dreams, which is a really astounding event.
Rhonda and Roxanne have had just that experience. In April of 1991, Rhonda dreamed that Joe was in a terrible accident, but did not tell anyone in her family. A week later, Roxanne says she had the very same dream.
Our car was on the side of the road, and then I saw a glimpse of Joe, his head, his face, and then I saw the police writing a police report. It was really, really disturbing to me. It really upset me because it just, you know, it scared me, and it felt like it was something that was going to happen. And I said, well, Roxanne, I said, let's just think positively about it, and let's just pray that everything will be okay. And from then on, I've just asked Joe to please be careful.
2 weeks later, Joe was on his way to the mountains for another weekend of camping, and he momentarily took his eyes off the road.
Luckily, I wasn't injured. Of course, the first thing I thought about after that happened was that Rhonda had warned me to be very careful, and I had not paid attention to the road and slid off and had the accident.
The extraordinary experiences of the Anderson family could make even the harshest skeptics stop and think. After all, coincidence can only account for so much. You're about to meet a woman who says her psychic dreams did not foretell the future, but brought her news of an untimely death.
Joe, I'm so glad you're back.
It's really great to be back.
In 1942, 20-year-old Catherine Webb fell in love with a soldier named Joe Stewart.
I don't think it's really the best time for us to go into a marriage.
Both wanted to marry, but because of hardships in their families, they decided that the timing was not right.
Well, you know, the truth is, Joe, I've been thinking the same thing. Mother's not well. Dad's not very strong. I just don't think it's fair to you to take on that much responsibility.
Yes, I've always regretted that instead of being so conscientious about our obligations. We should have thought of ourselves. I didn't see him for a while, and then I saw him again, and from then on through the years, when I'd see him, we'd go out 2 or 3 times, but I left it go at that.
Catherine never forgot her first love. She remained single until January of 1965, when at the age of 47, she married her next-door neighbor. The next year, Catherine began having a strange, recurring dream.
I kept getting this dream all the time. All I saw was these nurses and doctors, a lot of confusion, probably working on someone. That was to be how it would look. The nurses were rushing around. The doctors seemed very concerned, but I couldn't see what they were doing. And then it seemed to me that I just got the intuition that it's about Joe Stewart. And I just kept having that dream off and on, all during the month of May and June, and it just got worse and worse.
Finally, Catherine had a dream which seemed to explain everything. In this new dream, Catherine was in her kitchen when she received a most unexpected visitor.
I turned around and Joe was standing there.
Joe? What are you doing?
Kate, I came to tell you that I died.
What?
Yes, it's true. I'm dead.
It seemed quite natural for him to have a hold of my hand and taken me. I believed him. I just couldn't grasp it.
Joe, I don't understand this.
I'll explain. You see, I just had to let you know that, thanks to your prayers, I'll have a Christian burial. It's all right.
Who is this?
It's me, Kate.
I could smell flowers and fern, and I looked down at the man in the casket. It didn't look like Joe.
It isn't you. It doesn't look like you.
Yes, I know, but it is. And I came to tell you that I'll always love you.
And I could feel the flesh and the warmth of his hand. And he said, I always loved you. And he kissed me. And I felt his lips and his breath. And that was it. My perspiration was pouring off of me. I was shaking. I thought, now I know why all those dreams I saw of doctors and nurses, and I thought it was Joe. This is what it meant. What I just saw was no dream. This was a vision, and I knew it was true. I just felt in my heart it was true. I didn't want to believe he was dead, but I knew that was true.
Nobody let me know that Joe was sick.
A few days later, Catherine contacted Joe's sister and brother-in-law, and her worst fears were confirmed. Catherine was stunned to learn that Joe had gone into a coma the very day that she had the first dream about doctors and nurses. He had died of a brain aneurysm just 2 days before he appeared to Catherine in her dream about the church.
You know, somebody should have told me.
Well, we didn't know what to do, and even if you went to the funeral, you wouldn't have recognized him.
The mortuary put a wig on Joe. His body was so thin, nobody knew him.
Well, let me tell you something. Joe came to me in a dream. He came to me in my kitchen and told me himself that he had died.
I was convinced that everything I'd tell them, they would tell me, yes, that's the way it was. And when I did tell them, his sister said yes. She said, every detail you told us, she said, it's just the way it was.
William Shakespeare once wrote, "Today's dream is tomorrow's reality." The cases we've examined tonight certainly seem to support that sentiment, but there is still no logical explanation for psychic dreams. Perhaps this phenomenon will always remain inexplicable and beyond our understanding, truly an unsolved mystery.
See?
That's fucked up. Good point.
I know. Peter's mad at me. Peter, the guy that Tim knows. Peter. Tim? He, I have a booter now for Yahoo Messenger. And I have an online checker for online and invisible people, and I have an ID maker to make the bots for the booter. And I booted him today, and I guess he's mad now because he's texting me right now, and he goes, his first message to me, where is it? I don't know if I can do it. He's like, you have a booter. And he's like, you booted me tonight. You messed up my computer now. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. I just told him I didn't have one, or that I didn't use it. He's like, I know your bots, dude. You booted me. You're effing around with it, and blah blah blah. I was like, okay, Peter. I was like, it wasn't me, even though it was. Yeah. And he's pissed off, and he's like, well, Deuce, he's like, either just don't do it again or get rid of it. And his computer, the one he has, was Tim's computer.
What?
Yeah. His dumbass took it from whatchamacallit? From Tim. He bought it off of Tim because Tim apparently got some idea that electricity was bad or something, so he says.
What?
Yeah. And he and he gave Peter his computer, and Peter said he fixed it, and I just fucked it up again with my booter.
That is hilarious.
Ah, damn it. I made like 25 more bots today out of the 42 I had with the booter, so now I got 67 packets.
And I won't be talking to you on mine.
I'm not going to boot you.
Yeah, whatever.
I won't. I boot people in chat rooms and whatever. I just did it to Peter because I know it makes him mad. That shit knocked him off today, too. I love booting people. It's great.
Yeah, you don't boot my ass because I'm not going to talk to you.
I'm not going to boot you, period.
I'm not going to boot you neither.
Of course you're not, because you don't have a booter. You don't know how to use a booter.
Exactly.
So why would I boot you?
Italy.
For what? What would I boot you for? Booters are intended to use against people that have either booted you or that you don't want to stay online, like in chat rooms.
You looking at? Fuck you. I can boot you in an instant.
Really? With what internet?
What?
I'm unstoppable. Raise the roof.
Don't fuck with me. Serious.
But I got the booter.
Well, congratulations. You finally figured out how to use the fucking booter.
I've always known how to use it.
Yeah, whatever.
But my point is, what am I to boot you for? What am I booting you for?